All right. So, you've already heard from Anna and Steve about the kinds of projects we can do in this course. And I know Anna talked about some things that we could do concerning Ulsan and Korea, some local ideas. And Steve talked about projects involving the environment. And my topic is humanitarian project ideas. So, what this means is focusing on people, people of the world. And we're going to start by looking at some of the big issues that there are, and then I'll give you some ideas of what your project could look like. You don't have to follow these ideas, they're just that ideas, things to get you started. So, one of the big problems facing the people of the world is malnutrition. Do you know what that means? So, malnutrition means that there's a lack of food, or a lack of nutrients, or a lack of nutrition education. So, a lack of food means people just don't have enough to eat. And a lack of nutrients means that they might have food, but it's not the right food. It's not healthy food. It doesn't help them grow. And lack of nutrition education means a lot of people don't know what food they should eat and what food they should not eat. So, malnutrition is a huge global concern. Now, I have a graph here in the middle, and it shows three boxes. The first big box talks about stunted children. You know what that means? So, stunted just means not growing well. It means if you don't have vitamin D or vitamin C or maybe enough calcium, your bones are not going to develop and be strong. You're not going to be as tall as you should be. You might have more health issues because you're not eating the right food. And you can see it's 150 million children in the world, and that's just little children. That's 0 to 59 months old. That's before kindergarten. They're little. And then the second box here is wasted children. That sounds kind of funny, wasted children. But wasted children means children that are actually wasting away. Wasting away means they're disappearing. Their bodies are disappearing because they're not eating enough. They don't have enough food. And then another malnutrition problem is actually overweight children. Because if you're overweight, you can have heart conditions, you can have other organ failure problems, it leads to disease. So being overweight is not healthy. And a lot of that is because you're not receiving the nutrition that you need. You're eating the wrong food again. And overweight children can also be a problem of not having enough money. Um, if the bad food is cheaper than the good food, then you buy the bad food because you don't have enough money to buy the good food. So that can be a problem. And as you can see in the bottom picture, every country in the world, even Korea, has a problem with malnutrition. So if you are concerned about this, or if this is something that you think is a huge issue for you as well, you might think about a project for that. I have an example project here for you, and this one is nutritional benefits of kimchi. So we all know what kimchi is. We know what it tastes like. We know that it's healthy for us. But a lot of people don't know that. And maybe our contribution to global health can be to let other people know, hey, why don't you try this food? Maybe this food can help you be a little bit healthy too. So maybe your project would be you researching the health benefits of kimchi. And then you and your partner or your group make some videos about how to make kimchi, the history of kimchi, the ingredients. Like what are the good things about it? Introduce some a little bit of Korean culture and food to the world. And then, if you would like to, you could share the videos with a partner classroom. We could use a program like Flipgrid, or if you have an idea about how you want to do this, I can contact some teacher friends of mine and we can figure out if they'd be willing to share videos with you and maybe they could follow your directions and make some kimchi. And then they record their part. And then together, all of you make a new video combining your experiences. So this would be a long project, but it'd be kind of fun. So even though it's a serious topic, malnutrition, it can still be something fun and enjoyable, and you can make the world a little bit better. And then I have education. Oh my goodness, that looks like a lot of words, right? Way back in 2015, when you guys were just little people, the United Nations had a big meeting in Incheon, and they made a list of a lot of things to fix in education by the year 2030. And that's coming soon. That's in 9 years. Oh my goodness. So they haven't reached these goals yet, but maybe we could do a little something to help. These are some of their big goals: making sure that all boys and girls can go to primary and secondary school. That's elementary, middle, and high school. And making sure that everybody has access to quality early childhood education. Not everybody gets to go to preschool or kindergarten. And a lot of research says that's where education begins. You got to think about your students who might have disabilities or are in a vulnerable situation and make sure that they have access to education. Or what about bullying? Bullying's a big issue. So make places that are safe and nonviolent and inclusive. Make sure that there are good teachers in the world. These are some big world global education goals. But we can do things about it too. For example, you could raise awareness. So have a social media campaign. Do something at your school to let other people know about education in other countries. Make your school a better place. We could do fundraising, find some projects, find an idea of how to help some great organizations raise money to help education. These are a couple ideas that I have here. One is One African Child for Creative Learning, which is an awesome program where it's run by students. And the students are helping other students to fund projects at their schools. So the students are helping to make education better in their countries. There's Girls Not Brides. In a lot of countries and cultures, girls get married too young. And by too young, that means that they don't get to finish middle school or high school. They get married in their teens, 13, 14. Their families don't have enough money, so they sell them in order to have money to feed the rest of their family. So Girls Not Bride is an organization helping to eliminate child brides. There's also a program I enjoyed called Caring for Cambodia, and that's helping students in Cambodia to finish their education. So these are just a few ideas of projects. If you have any ideas about projects here, sure, go ahead. We can talk about that a little bit later. And then finally, my last big topic is the global community. It feels like a lot of times we see on social media or news, people are hurting people. And global community is saying, hey, let's raise empathy. Let's care about other people and show that we care about other people. We're all one huge community. So, one of the ways that you could do that would be to show individuals. Um, I don't know if you guys have heard of Humans of New York, but it was a big program. Oh, it's still a big program. It's a website that was started by a photographer. And his goal was to take pictures in every neighborhood of New York and show the human side of New York City. So he did. And he shared their pictures and then interviews with those people. And a lot of other countries started to follow and do the same thing. And we've got um, Humans of Seoul, which is pretty cool. And they interview people in Korean and then translate the Korean into English so they have a more global audience. That's something else you could look at. I'm going to actually show you an example of that. Hold on a second. Okay, so this is an example of the website, Humans of Seoul. And you can see that they interview a person and then they translate it into English. And it just takes people in Seoul and shows you their lives a little bit. There are a lot of different kinds of stories. I find this one really interesting, about the North Korean refugee. And you can also do pets, that's kind of fun. And it takes people's lives and makes them human. And when people read about other people's lives, they think, oh, yeah, that's a person. I care about that person. So this is just a simple idea that you could do. I have not found a Humans of Ulsan, so if you made a Humans of Ulsan, that'd be pretty cool. It's a project idea that you could do to share in humanitarian aspects. Another thing that you could do would be to participate in World Refugee Day. So on here, I've got World Refugee Day as June 20th, and our project course goes all the way until November. But if you decided to do your project about raising awareness for refugees, then this could just be one part of your project. And World Refugees Day is June 20th, 2021, and it's sponsored by the United Nations. You guys know what a refugee is? So, a refugee is a person who can't live in their home because of violence or famine or politics. For some reason, if they stay in their home, their hometown, they're going to die. So they run away, they flee, they go to another country. And hopefully, another country will take them in and say, hey, it's okay, we'll take care of you. But you're always without your home. And on World Refugee Day, people of the world get together and say, hey, we haven't forgotten you. We know you're still out there. We know that you're lonely and alone. And there's a lot of refugees. There's about 80 million people right now who are refugees. That's a lot. And I don't know if you've been watching the news, but right now there's a huge crisis in Myanmar. Um, Korea has gotten a lot of refugees from Yemen, and Syria. And there are political issues surrounding refugees, and you don't necessarily have to get into the politics of things, but you can still support people without homes. And one of the things I wanted to show you with that is the website from the UN, the United Nations High Commission for Refugees. Sounds very fancy. So you can see from this screen, if you go under Get Involved, there are a couple of ways that we can do something to help with refugees. One is helping with World Refugee Day, and there are all sorts of ways other people are doing things. Um, oh, there we go. A lot of people are celebrating by representing the countries. They're having people who are refugees come and speak at their schools. That would be kind of scary, but cool. As a student, something that you could do would be the Youth with Refugees Art Contest. And this happens every year between the ages of 10 and 30. Oh, I'm too old. It's okay. Um, and you use your creativity for a good cause. So you don't have to be a professional artist. And this year, what they're going to do is a special competition, the Dream Ball design. And the 5 best designs will be turned into footballs stitched by refugees and host community members in Kenya through a company called Alive and Kicking. And they will be sold online to support refugees. That's an awesome idea. So you can submit your artwork to be made into a theme for refugees. The theme is Together Through Sport. And there are all sorts of other ideas that you can do to help refugees. So if you wanted to do something along that line, if that's something that you're interested in, let me and Steve or Anna or your mentor teacher know about it, and we'll figure something out. So finally, what can you do? Your project could be volunteering, or your project could be raising awareness about something, maybe at your school or on social media. Your project could be doing research about a topic that interests you that will help the world. Your your project could be documenting. Um, in this case, to document something doesn't mean like A4 document. What it means is to record. So maybe you do an interview or a survey and you share that later. Pretty much every project you're going to do, you're going to want to share with others because that's how we make a difference. If you do something and don't tell anyone, did it really happen? Um, so our idea is share. Share what you have done. And then finally, it's up to you. What are you going to choose? What are you interested in? Do some thinking about it, brainstorm. Um, we'll talk about it later. We'll find out what you're interested in, maybe match you up with some other teammates who are interested in these things. But choose a topic that you are passionate about or interested in, and your project will grow from there. So, thank you, everyone.